It started with a message. My husband's co-worker in our Chicago office was being a little too sweet, subtle but clearly interested. I didn't get jealous. I had a better idea. When he walked into our Lakeview apartment and saw what I had planned, I looked up and smiled. "Come here," I whispered. "This part is for you." He was already clutching the sheets when I dropped down again, my lips tracing the trail I knew drove him wild. I loved watching his chest rise, hearing his breath catch in his throat. It made me hungrier. Every sigh, every twitch, every reaction was mine. I knew what he liked and how to hold him there, right on the edge, just long enough to make him lose control. By the time I climbed back on top of him, his eyes were glassy, his hands roaming my hips as if he couldn't decide whether to hold on or let go. He didn't have to choose. I made the decision for both of us. When he finally gave in, pulling me closer and whispering my name like a plea, I smiled. Afterward, we collapsed into a tangle of breath and skin. The sheets kicked to the floor. "You're unreal," he murmured, still catching his breath. That might have been the best ever. I leaned over, kissed his chest, and grinned. "You say that every time?" He smirked. "You keep proving me right." I pushed up on one elbow and reached for his phone on the nightstand. "Actually, there's something I want to show you," I said. "I saw this move the other night. I think you'll like it." I unlocked the screen, but before I could pull up the video, a notification lit up. "Emma, you were so funny today. I swear you always make my day better." I paused. Emma from the Chicago office. I clicked the thread, curiosity taking over. Her messages weren't explicit. Nothing anyone could call out directly. But the tone, the timing, the emojis, the constant compliments, there was no mistaking it. She wasn't just friendly. She was interested. What surprised me most was him. He wasn't flirting back. Not really. But he wasn't stopping it either. He seemed amused, flattered. And maybe, just maybe, he liked the attention. "You know she's flirting with you, right?" I said, scrolling through the thread. He glanced over, still catching his breath. "Who?" "Emma from the office." I turned the screen so he could see. "You always make my day better. Come on." He squinted at the phone. "That's just Emma being nice." I smirked. "Really? Is it normal for her to say you light up her afternoons and send winky faces?" He laughed. "I guess I never thought about it like that." "She's not exactly subtle," I said, leaning over him again. "And you're not exactly stopping her." He smiled. "I didn't think it meant anything. It's kind of flattering, I guess." I leaned in close, my voice dropping. "Oh, you like being the office crush?" His eyes widened, caught between guilt and amusement. "What? No. I mean, maybe a little." I grinned, dragging my fingers down his chest. "Don't worry, babe. I get it. I'd flirt with you too." He grinned. "You do?" I kissed him softly, then whispered, "And now, I'm going to show you something even better." He raised an eyebrow. "Better than what we just did?" I didn't answer. I just slid lower down his body. slower this time, keeping eye contact as I moved between his thighs. He looked stunned, curious, eager, a little nervous. I tilted my head and said, "I want to try what I saw. Let me handle it." The next morning, I woke up alone in our Lakeview apartment. My husband had left early to meet a client downtown at the Loop. He wouldn't be at the office. Emma would. I lay in bed a little longer, thinking about those texts, the emojis, the way she leaned into every message. I could picture her laughing too hard at his jokes during a coffee break at the office, brushing his arm, looking for excuses to talk to him by the water cooler. I wasn't jealous. I was curious. He had no idea what she wanted. But I did. I also knew what he would want, what he'd never admit out loud, but would lose his mind if it actually happened. And me, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't wondered. So I picked up my phone and sent the message. "Hey, any chance you're free this afternoon? Just want to talk. Nothing bad." She replied quickly. Sure. Is everything okay?" "Totally. Bring coffee from Dunkin', and a good excuse to leave work early." I didn't have to wait long. She knocked about half an hour later, a Dunkin' coffee in hand, nerves all over her face. "Hi," she said. "Hi." I smiled. "Come in." She stepped into our apartment, cautious. "You're prettier than I remembered," I said as she set the drinks on the kitchen counter. "Oh, thanks." "Don't be shy. I get it." "Get what?" "The texts," I said. "The way you talk to him." She froze. "I didn't mean anything by, 'I'm not mad,'" I said calmly. "At all." She stared at me, confused. "I just think," I added, stepping closer, "if you're going to flirt with him, you should do it properly." She blinked. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said, brushing her hair back, "I have a proposition." Then I kissed her soft, intentional, unapologetic. When I pulled away, she didn't move, which meant I was right. Her lips parted, her breath shallow, her eyes locked on mine, as if she wasn't sure if she was dreaming or hadn't woken up yet. I brushed my hand down her arm. "You're okay," I said gently. "You don't have to do anything." She swallowed. "But you kissed me." I nodded. And I meant it. Her gaze searched mine for something doubt, permission, maybe both. I leaned in and kissed her again. This time, she didn't hesitate. I felt her body soften against mine, her hand drifting to my waist. When I eased her shirt upward, she raised her arms without a word. Her skin was warm, and the delicate bra beneath made me wonder if she'd worn it just in case. I didn't ask. I lifted the shirt over her head, my fingers grazing her back as the fabric slipped free. Her bra followed, then the rest, one layer at a time, until nothing was left between us. I took my time. My lips moved over her collarbone, down to her chest, tracing slow lines along her ribs, her stomach, and the soft inside of her thigh. Her breathing quickened with every inch, her fingers tightening slightly against the sheets. When I moved lower, right where she needed me, she was already trembling. I didn't rush. I listened to her breathing, her shifting, the quiet sounds she couldn't hold in. Her hips lifted slightly as I learned exactly what made her breathe like that. Her back tensed. Her hands gripped the bedding, and then she let go quietly, completely, every part of her giving in at once. I stayed there a moment, resting my head near her hip as she gently tangled her fingers in my hair. "That was," she whispered, her breath uneven. "I know," I murmured. "Just breathe." The room stayed still for a while. I sat up, my fingertips trailing lightly along her side. She turned toward me, her cheeks still warm. "I've never done anything like that," she said. I smiled. "You handled it beautifully." She laughed under her breath. "You're dangerous." "Not really," I said, tilting my head. "Just generous." She hesitated. "Can I?" I didn't answer. I leaned back and let the straps of my top slide off my shoulders. She understood. Her touch started light, exploring my collarbone, my waist, following the shape of me as if she was learning something she wasn't supposed to know. She kissed me again, slower this time, more certain. Then she slipped my top the rest of the way off and let her hands roam, taking her time as if memorizing every detail. I lay back, watching her, letting her explore. When she reached my stomach, she paused. I gave her a nod. She kissed just below my navel, then followed the line downward with her lips. I felt the warm brush of her breath, then her. My hand drifted into her hair. She started gently, still learning. But every sound I made gave her direction, and she kept going. I let go completely. My head tilted back, my breathing quickened, tension building with every second. I curled forward as everything hit at once. The sheets tight in my grip, a sound escaping that I couldn't quite keep in. She crawled back up beside me, glowing with quiet pride. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We stayed there, wrapped around each other, the sheets tangled at our waists. "I told you I had a proposition," I murmured, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She smiled. "I thought you meant coffee." I was about to answer when the front door of our apartment opened downstairs. She stiffened. I didn't. I met her gaze with a calm smile. "Relax," I said. "This part's for him." Footsteps climbed the stairs. A moment later, he appeared in the bedroom doorway, his eyes widening. I sat up slowly, still bare, the heat of everything we'd shared still clinging to my skin. I looked straight at him, then patted the space beside us. "Come here, baby," I said softly. "You're going to love this." He stood in the doorway, as if he'd walked into a dream and wasn't sure he was supposed to be there. I walked to him, slow and bare, the warmth of Emma's touch still humming under my skin. I didn't speak. I just kissed him soft, sure, inviting. He didn't move at first, but when I unbuttoned his shirt and pushed it from his shoulders, he let it fall. When I knelt to undo his belt, he breathed in sharply. When I stood, took his hand, and led him to the bed, He followed, wide-eyed and silent. Emma was already lying back, her hair tousled, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and nerves. I looked at her. "Help me," I said. She nodded and moved toward him. I kissed his neck as she lowered herself slowly. He gasped the moment she reached him, his hands grabbing the sheets, his chest lifting beneath my touch. "It's okay," I whispered in his ear. "Let us take care of you." His body twitched under her, his breath catching in his throat. He looked at me, stunned. I kissed him again, deeper this time, steadying him as she continued. His hand found my back. I stroked his hair and whispered, "You're doing so well." His head tilted back. He moaned softly, his breath broken and helpless. Emma looked up, her lips wet, her eyes wide. I smiled. "Now it's your turn. Lie back," I said gently to Emma. She stretched out across the bed, her breath shallow, her legs parting just enough. She looked up at him, uncertain. "He's nervous," I told her. "So are you. But you both want this." I turned to him, reached for his hand, and whispered, "She wants you. Go to her." He nodded slowly, climbing over her with deliberate care. She reached up as he settled above her, her hands trembling slightly. I knelt beside them and ran my hand along his back. "Take your time," I whispered. She reached for him, and their bodies met. He froze. I leaned in close. "It's okay. She can take you." His hips eased forward, and Emma moaned, her fingers tightening at his sides. "She's more than ready for you," I whispered into his shoulder. "See how she holds you." He began to move, slow and steady, and Emma gasped beneath him. I climbed over her carefully, one knee at a time, positioning myself just above her mouth. He paused to adjust, making room for me, and then her lips began to move, and I felt her. I gasped, dropping my hands to his chest as he thrust deeper. I leaned in to kiss him, our mouths meeting just above the tension building between us. "You're inside her," I whispered between kisses, "and she's inside me. Can you feel us both?" He nodded, his breath shaking, lost between the two of us. Eventually, I slid off and let them breathe. "Your turn," I said to Emma, guiding her up. "Take control." She climbed on top of him, one knee at a time, then eased herself down, her breath catching as she settled. His head fell back, his eyes wide, his hands finding her hips. She started to move, slow, cautious. "Nice and easy," I murmured, sitting beside them. "Let it build." Emma found her rhythm, rocking gently, her hair falling forward. I kissed his cheek, stroked his chest, watched his muscles tighten under her. "She's beautiful like this," I whispered. "Isn't she?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He was breathing too fast, blinking as if he couldn't believe it was real. Emma picked up speed, his hands sliding along her sides, barely holding on. I leaned close, kissed his neck, and whispered in his ear, Taken. Loved. That's what you are right now. His mouth parted. Emma gasped above him, her breath matching his. I watched them both, his jaw clenching, her body rising and lowering in perfect rhythm. I saw it building. His hands tightened around her waist. His breath caught. His legs shifted beneath her. He's close, I whispered. Emma didn't stop. She kept moving, keeping him right there. I cupped his face in my hands and kissed him hard. Finish him, baby, I whispered to her. Emma dropped down once more, her breath unsteady. His whole body tensed, his head pressed back into the mattress, his fingers locking around her. A sound escaped his throat, half breath, half surrender, and then he let go. Emma collapsed on top of him. I curled up beside them, brushing his damp hair from his forehead. His eyes finally opened. I kissed him once, slow, deep, and full of every promise I had just kept. That's what you get, I whispered, for being such a good husband. The room was quiet for a moment, the only sound our collective breathing, still uneven from the intensity of it all. The Chicago skyline glimmered faintly through the bedroom window, the distant lights of the Willis Tower cutting through the evening haze. I lay there, nestled between them, my skin still warm, my mind buzzing with the weight of what had just happened. Emma was curled on her side, her arm draped loosely over my waist, her breath steadying as she stared at the ceiling. My husband, still catching his breath, reached for my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine. His touch was grounding, familiar, yet there was something new in it, a quiet awe that mirrored my own. I turned my head to look at him, his face softened by the dim light filtering through the curtains. "You okay?" I asked, my voice low, almost a murmur. He nodded, his eyes still wide, as if he was still processing the reality of the moment. "Yeah," he said, his voice hoarse. I don't even know what to say." I smiled, squeezing his hand. "You don't have to say anything. Just be here." Emma shifted beside me, her movement drawing my attention. Her cheeks were still flushed, her hair a soft mess of curls spilling over the pillow. She looked at me, her expression a mix of wonder and uncertainty. "I didn't expect this," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I mean, when you texted me, I thought maybe you were going to yell at me about the messages or something." I laughed softly, brushing a stray curl from her face. "Yell at you? Nah, I'm not that kind of wife." She smiled, a small, hesitant curve of her lips. "You're something else." The three of us lay there for a while, the silence comfortable but heavy with unspoken questions. I could feel the weight of their thoughts, his, hers, mine swirling in the air. What did this mean for us? For them? For me? I wasn't sure yet, but I wasn't afraid of the uncertainty. If anything, it felt like a door had been opened, one I hadn't even realized was there. Chicago's evening hum drifted through the window, the faint honk of a taxi, the low rumble of the L train passing somewhere nearby. It grounded me, reminded me that life was still moving outside this room, even if time seemed to have paused within it. Eventually, I sat up, the sheets slipping to my waist. "Anyone hungry?" I asked, breaking the silence. My husband chuckled, the sound warm and familiar. "After that, starving." Emma nodded, sitting up slowly, her movements careful, as if she was still testing the boundaries of this new reality. "I could eat," she said, her voice steadier now. I grinned. "Good. Let's order some deep dish from Lou Malnati's. Nothing says Chicago like pizza. Right?" We disentangled ourselves from the bed, pulling on enough clothes to feel decent but not formal me in a loose tank top and shorts. Him in sweatpants, Emma borrowing one of my oversized Cubs t-shirts. The three of us moved to the living room, the hardwood floors cool under our feet. I grabbed my phone and placed the order 2 large pizzas, one with sausage and peppers, the other with spinach and mushrooms, because I knew Emma was vegetarian from her Instagram posts. As we waited, we sat on the couch, the city lights casting a soft glow through the wide windows overlooking Lakeview Avenue. "So," my husband said, breaking the ice as he leaned back, one arm draped casually over the back of the couch. "This is new." His tone was light, but I could hear the question beneath it. Emma glanced at him, then at me, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of the t-shirt. "Yeah," she said. "I mean, I didn't even know I was, into this kind of thing until today." I raised an eyebrow, teasing. "Oh, come on. You had to have at least thought about it. Those texts weren't exactly subtle." She blushed, ducking her head. "Okay. Maybe I thought about him a little. But you, that was a surprise." He laughed, the sound easing the tension in the room. "I'm flattered, I guess. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. I mean, you too?" He gestured vaguely between us, his expression a mix of amusement and disbelief. I leaned over, resting my head on his shoulder. "What can I say? I'm full of surprises." Emma smiled, relaxing a bit. "You really are. I thought I was just coming over for coffee and maybe a lecture." The pizza arrived, and we spread out on the living room floor. The boxes open on the coffee table, the smell of warm cheese and tomato sauce filling the air. We ate in comfortable silence for a while, the kind of quiet that comes when you're too busy savouring the moment to overthink it. Outside, the city was alive, neighbours walking their dogs, the occasional siren echoing from the direction of Wrigley Field. It felt normal, grounding, like we were just 3 people sharing a meal, even if what had happened upstairs was anything but ordinary. As we finished the last slices, I leaned back against the couch, my legs stretched out in front of me. "So," I said, looking between them, "we should probably talk about what happens next." Emma's eyes widened slightly, and my husband paused, a slice of pizza halfway to his mouth. "Next?" he asked, his voice cautious. I nodded. "Yeah. I mean, this was incredible. But we're not just going to pretend it didn't happen, right?" Emma set her plate down, her expression thoughtful. "I don't know what I expected when I came over," she said, "but I didn't think it would feel like this. Like, I don't feel weird about it. I thought I would, but I don't." I smiled, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "Good, because I don't either." My husband looked between us, his brow furrowed. "So, What are you saying? Is this, like, a one-time thing? Or... He trailed off, clearly unsure how to finish the sentence. I took a deep breath. Considering the question, the truth was, I didn't have all the answers. What I did know was that this felt right, not just the physical part, but the connection, the trust, the way we'd all let ourselves be vulnerable together. I think, I said slowly, that we don't have to decide everything right now, but I also think this doesn't have to be a one-time thing. If we all want to explore this, we can, as long as we're honest with each other. Emma nodded, her expression serious. I like that. Being honest. I mean, I work with you, she said, glancing at my husband. And I don't want things to get weird at the office. But I also... I don't know. I feel like I want to see where this goes. He looked at her, then at me, his expression softening. You're okay with that? He asked me. I smiled, leaning over to kiss him lightly. More than okay, as long as we're all on the same page. The conversation flowed from there, easier than I expected. We talked about boundaries, keeping things discreet, especially at his office in the Loop, where gossip could spread faster than a Cubs game sellout. Emma agreed, admitting she'd been nervous about how her flirtatious texts might have come across. I didn't mean to step on any toes, she said, looking at me. He's kind of hard to ignore. I laughed. Trust me, I know. Why do you think I married him? We finished the pizza and opened a bottle of Malbec from the kitchen, the kind we always kept for late-night talks. The wine loosened us up, and soon we were laughing about office stories, Emma's disastrous attempt at organising the company holiday party at Navy Pier, my husband's habit of sneaking extra donuts from the break room. It felt normal, like we were friends catching up, not three people who'd just crossed a line most would never even consider. As the night wore on, Emma glanced at her phone and sighed. I should probably get going. I have an early meeting tomorrow, and I still need to catch the red line back to Andersonville. I nodded, standing to walk her to the door. You sure you're okay getting home? She smiled, pulling on her jacket. Yeah, I'm good. This was unexpected, but good. I hugged her, feeling the warmth of her against me, a quiet reminder of what we'd shared. Text me when you get home, I said. She nodded, then turned to my husband. See you at work. He grinned, standing to give her a quick hug. Yeah, let's just keep this between us. Okay. She laughed. Deal. After she left, the apartment felt quieter, but not empty. My husband and I cleaned up the pizza boxes, moving in sync the way we always did. As we washed dishes in the kitchen, the city lights sparkling outside. He glanced at me. You're really okay with all this? He asked again, his voice softer now. I dried my hands and turned to face him, leaning against the counter. I mean, it's a lot, but it feels right, like we're figuring it out together. He nodded, stepping closer to pull me into his arms. You're incredible. You know that. I smiled, resting my head against his chest. So are you. And so is she. The next few days were a blur of normalcy and quiet anticipation. My husband went back to his office in the Loop, where he and Emma worked on separate floors but inevitably crossed paths. He told me about their brief interactions, a shared smile in the elevator, a quick chat by the coffee machine, nothing overt, just a subtle acknowledgement of what had happened. I found myself checking my phone more often, waiting for Emma's texts. They came sporadically funny memes about Chicago winters, a photo of her cat curled up on her couch, a quick thinking about you that made my heart skip. I responded in kind, keeping things light but open, testing the waters of this new dynamic. One evening, about a week later, we decided to meet up again, this time at a cosy bar in Wicker Park. The place was all exposed brick and dim lighting, with craft cocktails and a jukebox playing old-school jazz. Emma was already there when we arrived, sipping a gin and tonic, her hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. She looked up as we walked in, her smile bright but tinged with nerves. "Hey," she said, standing to hug us both. "This feels weirdly normal." I laughed, sliding into the booth beside her. "Right, like we're just grabbing drinks after work." We ordered a round of drinks old-fashions for me and my husband, another gin and tonic for Emma, and settled into easy conversation. We talked about everything and nothing the Cubs' latest game, the new mural going up on Division Street, the ridiculous traffic on Lakeshore Drive. But beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent, a shared understanding that we were more than just friends now. Every glance, every accidental brush of hands, carried a weight that hadn't been there before. As the night went on, I could feel the pull between us growing stronger. Emma's laugh was brighter, her eyes lingering on me a little longer. My husband noticed too, his hand resting on my knee under the table, his thumb tracing slow circles. "So," he said, leaning back with a grin, "are we going to talk about the elephant in the room?" Emma raised an eyebrow, her lips twitching. "You mean the fact that you know..." I laughed, sipping my drink. "Yeah, that. Or the fact that I kind of want to do it again." The words hung in the air, bold but honest. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she didn't look away. "I was kind of thinking the same thing," she admitted, her voice soft. My husband looked between us, his expression a mix of surprise and intrigue. "Okay. Wow. We're really doing this. Huh?" I reached for his hand, squeezing it. "Only if you're in. All of us. Together." He nodded, his eyes warm. "I'm in." We finished our drinks and walked back to our apartment, the cool Chicago night air brushing against our skin. The city was alive around us, street musicians playing on the corner, the glow of neon signs reflecting off the pavement. By the time we reached our building, the anticipation was palpable. We climbed the stairs in silence, the only sound the creak of the old wooden steps. Inside, the apartment felt like a sanctuary, a place where we could be ourselves without judgment. This time, there was no hesitation. We moved together with a new kind of ease, a rhythm born of familiarity and trust. Clothes fell away, hands roamed, lips met skin. The city outside faded to a distant hum, and all that mattered was the three of us, tangled together in the soft glow of the bedroom. It was slower this time, more deliberate, each touch a conversation, each sigh a promise. We took our time, exploring, learning, giving in to the moment. Afterward, we lay there, the sheets a mess around us, the city lights casting patterns on the ceiling. Emma was curled against me, her head on my shoulder, while my husband lay on his back, one arm draped over us both. "This is crazy," he said, his voice soft but warm. "But I kind of love it." Emma laughed, her breath tickling my skin. "Yeah, it's a lot, but good." I smiled, running my fingers through her hair. "It's us. That's what makes it good." Over the next few weeks, we settled into a new kind of routine. Emma became a regular part of our lives, not just in the bedroom, but in the everyday moments. We went to Cubs games together, cheering from the bleachers at Wrigley Field. We grabbed brunch at Ann Sather, arguing over who made the best cinnamon rolls in the city. We walked along the lakefront trail, the wind off Lake Michigan sharp and bracing, our hands brushing as we talked about everything from work to dreams, to the little things that made us laugh. But it wasn't all easy. There were moments of doubt, of navigating boundaries and emotions we hadn't expected. One night, over dinner at a taco joint in Pilsen, Emma admitted she was worried about getting too attached. "I don't want to mess this up," she said, pushing a chip around her plate. "You two have something solid. I don't want to be the one who ruins it." I reached across the table, taking her hand. "You're not ruining anything. You're part of this now. We figure it out together." My husband nodded, his expression serious. "She's right. We're in this together. All of us." There were practical challenges too. Keeping things discreet at his office was a priority. Chicago's corporate world was small, and rumors could spread faster than a fire on the Magnificent Mile. We agreed to keep our interactions professional at work, saving the real conversations for after hours. Emma was careful not to text him too often, and he made a point of redirecting any flirtatious comments from other co-workers. It wasn't always easy, but it worked. We found a balance, a way to be us without letting the outside world interfere. As the months passed, our connection deepened. Emma moved into a new apartment in Logan Square, closer to us, and we helped her unpack, laughing as we sorted through boxes of books and vinyl records. We spent weekends exploring the city art galleries in River North, jazz clubs in Uptown, late-night walks through Millennium Park, the Bean reflecting the city lights like a giant mirror. Each moment felt like a gift, a reminder of how rare and precious this was. One evening, as we sat on the rooftop of our building, the Chicago skyline stretching out before us, I looked at them both. My husband, his arm around me, and Emma, leaning against the railing, her eyes bright with the city's glow. "This is home," I said, the words slipping out before I could think. They both turned to me, their expressions soft. "Yeah," Emma said, her voice quiet. "It really is." My husband pulled me closer, kissing the top of my head. "We got lucky, didn't we?" I nodded, my heart full. The luckiest. And so, we kept going, 3 people, 1 city, 1 life woven together in a way none of us had expected. Chicago, with its endless energy and endless possibilities, was the perfect backdrop. It was our story, messy and beautiful, and we were writing it together, one day at a time,